Hi and welcome. Today we're talking about Bitcoin. And as you can see, I'm wearing a hat. And on this hat, you can see a mathematical formula, which is the formula that describes the way Bitcoin is created in the Bitcoin network. And this is a very interesting and powerful formula that we will discuss later. But first and foremost, why am I doing this video or this type of videos? And first, who am I? And second, why am I doing this type of videos? Okay, so my background is in IT. I've been a professional in IT for more than 20 years. And today I am not in IT anymore. Today I am a full-time investor. And I will discuss more about this, but basically my background in IT allowed me to fall in love basically with what Bitcoin is and represents, and also to be able to fall in love philosophically with it, and also to have the knowledge and the capacity to dig technically very deep in order to understand the legitimacy of it, the technological advantage and the legitimacy of the project. So why philosophically? Philosophically because when I started my IT career in the mid-1990s, and then the reason why I started working in IT is because I found on the internet, back then the internet was still very early days, and then I was scrambling around and finding information, and I found the Linux operative system. Actually, I found it in a magazine. Back then we had CD-ROMs, there were some programming and electronics and IT magazines, and one of these magazines had a CD in it. And so and they had Linux, like Debian Linux in it. And so I bought the magazine and I learned about Linux, and then I went on the internet to learn more and so forth. And basically what I loved, what made me fall in love with this operative system called Linux is the philosophy behind it, which is basically an operative system is a piece of software that creates an environment for you to run your applications, right? Like examples of operative systems for computers, for personal computers are like Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, or even Android, or the iOS systems. Those are like systems upon which you run applications, right? Like a browser or an email client, or a Zoom to make calls, or a camera application to record the video like this one, and so forth. So the operative system is like the base layer upon which you run the other applications. And Linux is very interesting because Linux allows you to, it's created by the people for the people. So it's completely transparent. And it allows everybody to basically audit the code. That's why it's called open source. But even more than being open source, that's only one of the characteristics of it, which is very good, but there is more. It's also free software. So open source is a subset of free software. In open source, in free software, there is even more freedom. And so one of the characteristics of free software is open source. Think about like a big circle. That is free software, okay? And inside this big circle, there is another smaller circle that is inside that is called open source. Okay, so open source means that everybody can see the code, which is great, because again, it gives transparency and allow people to audit the code. So it's also a form of security, because when you run an application that is open source, you know that there was a community that was able to look into that application. Maybe not yourself if you're not an expert, but there is a lot of like thousands of people on the internet that are experts, and they were able to look as well into that code that is published online on sites like github.com, etc. And then through auditing that code, this community allows the larger community to be safe, right? And also to optimize and continue to improve the code. So that's why Linux became so powerful, and today empowers most of the servers on the internet, and also all the little devices and things that you see, like webcams and phones, with Android, for example, they are all built on a similar idea and spin-offs and forks of this type of philosophy, and Linux like libraries and so forth. So when you so basically you have this open source is just one aspect of freedom, but there is more, because the free software has different levels of freedom, which which means that you can, like, something can be free, like in the Free Software Foundation they have an example. They say something can be free as a free beer, right? Or something can be free as a free speech. And these two are both good, because free beer, okay, you get it, you take it, thank you, and you drink it, and it's free. Or free speech, but free speech is much deeper, right, than free beer. Is a complete different philosophical game that you are allowed to play or to go into. So in free software, basically you have the free speech first and foremost, but so you have the free beer, because most of the free software is gratis, so you don't have to pay for it to use it, right? You just download it and use it, which is great. And it's also open source, so you can see, you can learn how it's done, you can audit it, and but then the free software allows even more freedoms to this. And some of the other freedoms that are built on top of this are the freedoms of, like, you can basically change it, and you can modify it. I mean, you can download it, use it for free, but you can also see how it is done, open source, and you can also change it, and then you can upload it again for other people to use it. It's a different version that you create, right? So you take the original one, you modify it, you add some features, or you remove some features maybe, if it's a security that you're doing and you want to prune it and make it more, or maybe performance, optimizing for performance, or optimizing for security and so forth. You can add or remove features, and then you publish it again, and then it goes back online, and then someone else can do the same. So it creates this dynamic that is very powerful. It creates like almost like a Darwinian evolutionary cycle in the network, where the best we call this, when you take a piece of software and you change it and you upload it again, we call that a fork. So basically in the code there is a certain, let's say a certain lineage, of historical lineage of that code, right? And then somebody takes it and forks. Now there is two, because the original one will continue to change as well from the original group and improve. But then now you have another one that forked, so it creates a fork. And then now there is another group that is working on this, and until the point of the fork they were the same. But then at that point they split, and now there is two communities working on this same original code, but now it becomes different, right? And then it forks again and forks again, and it creates this like fractalizing dynamic that is very powerful, because this is kind of a natural selection, and the software that gives the most value to the ecosystem will survive, and the other ones will die off, because the most people will go and use and adopt the software that is more like that's cheaper, performs better, is more stable, more secure, and so forth. So this is an overview on some of the qualities of that Bitcoin inherited from the Free Software Foundation and the open source idea. And then I'll continue in another video. See you soon.